Hi folks, this is Carrie from Tea with Carrie and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do a tutorial on how to make these very simple notepads. I like to use these notepads two ways. I put them in every journal that I make, and this is actually going to be going into the fall one that I've made. If you haven't seen that flip through yet, I will leave it in the description box below so you can just click through and have a quick look. And I also like to put them in the Happy Mail that I send out. You know, the profile on these is fairly flat, so it's easy to just pop into an envelope. If this is something that you're interested in, stick around. Go make yourself a cup of tea and come on back. Welcome back. All right, I hope you got yourself a nice cup of tea, and let's get on with this. The supplies that you're going to need for this is some scrap cardboard. So go and have a look through your scrap stuff and see what you've got. One-sided or double-sided will work. I will show you a workaround for the one-sided ones. You will need some form of paper. And again, you're probably going to find some in your stash of your scraps, etc. If you don't, then if you don't have it, just print it out, or just use what you have. You know, use your copy paper or whatever it is that you happen to have here, right? So you'll need those things: a pair of scissors, a bone folded thing if you have one. If not, the handle to your scissors will work just fine. You will also need some kind of hole punch and something like this. A very simple hole punch can be used to make these. You don't have to go out and purchase, you know, one of those big daddies. I mean, it all depends. I mean, they're nice, but this works as well, and I'll show you how to use that. And of course, some glue. I will use this Tombow Mono Liquid Glue. It's my favorite glue for the craft projects here. I do use Fabrifix a lot, but this will be like just putting embellishments and things on if I'm going to be doing like the lace or something else that I really need to make sure sticks down. So that's about all the supplies that you need, and whatever fastener kind of thing that you're going to use, whether it be, you know, just plain sari silk or the brads or anything like that. And I think I just already told you all that, but anyway, so let's get started here. First up, let me give you a quick tour of this. So here you have the sari ribbon here, just connecting the two, and there's just two basic punch holes in here. I just stamped a little bit here. You have your flip over here, your pages, and put as many or as few pages in as you want. I like to decorate on this side and on this side because it typically ends up in some kind of pocket usually, and if you're giving this to somebody, well, you don't know how they're going to use it, so I just like to have these kind of things finished, you know, nicely. So alright, so let's get started. So let's start with a one-sided piece first, right? And this, unfortunately, is about 90% of the scraps that I have left over are one-sided cards. So it is a nice way to bust that, to get rid of this, to use it up. Now, whatever size you happen to have in your hand is perfectly fine. There are no rules. You make them as small or as big, as skinny or as fat as you want. Pretty much that's it. There are no rules to this. So I would start off, when you've got a one-sided paper like this or cardboard like this, to stop it from running away for one, but fold it over to where as thick, so this here would be the width here from here to here, right? So that's how wide you want that paper to be. All right, it's for you to actually write on. So bear that in mind before you make that crease, right? So this one is going to be smaller, so I'm just going to make a smaller, I'm going to make it smaller this lengthwise, but also widthwise, just to keep it in proportion, right? But again, you can make it as skinny or as fat as you want. Okay, so now take your bone folder and just make sure that crease is really well creased, right? Push it down a lot. Okay, grab your scissors or your trimmer. Trust me, I'd much prefer to use my trimmer because I can't cut a straight line to save myself. But I'm going to try here. Okay, so I did it. Well, I think I did it. Maybe not. We'll see. All right, so that being done here, okay? So the next step, so now you've just got an open card, right? So now you're going to create this piece here. So you're just going to fold it over far enough to where you want that lip to be, right? So where you want this piece to be. Okay. Now, just notice here how this is doing that. It's my experience that it's going to do that regardless of how much you try to stick that bottom piece down, or it does on me. So let me show you how I work around that, okay? Because you see this, you can see the white coming through, and because it sits on top, you're going to see it, right? Grab yourself your scissors, open up, find where I opened it, here we go. Open up your cardboard here. Now you're going to just take off a sliver on this side only. So you're going to cut from here up to your halfway point, up to where you've made that initial crease, right? And you're just taking off a small amount, right? Just a very small amount, because all you're trying to do here is to get rid of that white piece showing in the bottom. Let me just grab that. Okay, so that's all you're trying to do, right? So now when you fold it over, okay, so that one wasn't long enough, cut it off again, of course. So I'm just going to cut another sliver off, and the reason why I'm saying just a sliver, because you are going to need to not interfere with the holes that you make with the hole punch to put your paper through, okay? So then close it up again, and so it's going to end up looking like this, right? And then you can just fold that down, okay? Now there are many different ways on how to make these. This is just simply the way that I do it, okay? So from here, you're going to need to glue these two sides together. So grab whatever glue that you choose to use, and for this you don't really need a great deal of it. You don't really need to glue all the way in here, right? Just around the edges is fine. And be careful when you're gluing up here, one, that you glue far enough down so it's going to grab this, but not too far down where it's going to interfere with the holes that you're going to make. All right, and then just around the edges, just around that edge and that edge. Sometimes it's necessary to glue all the way inside, but in this particular project it's not, and I didn't glue up here, but you will need to pop a little bit of glue in there, okay? And that glue of mine is almost out, which is why it's sitting in my pencil tray there upside down for it to run through. Okay, so now that piece is done, right? That piece is done. So now you want to put in your punch holes, right? Now, one of these handhold punches can go through these 4 layers of cardstock. I don't think could go through anything more than that 4 layers, right? So I personally eyeball this, but you can use, you know, a ruler if that's something where you're more comfortable doing. Me, no, I'm just going to eyeball this. So I'm just going to punch a hole where I need it to be, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side about where I want that to be. Okay, so it's gone through both layers here. Okay, and the reason why I do that now before I put the paper in, if I'm using a tool like this, is because it gets kind of tough when you're putting it through too many layers, and you won't be able to punch correctly, and you'll just end up making it more difficult for yourself. All right, so the next thing is the papers that you'll choose for this. So you can you know, choose whatever leftover papers that you have, or there are books like this. I think I got this from, I want to say Joanne's, but again, it probably could have been Michael's. And it's entirely up to you what you would like to use, you know. And this, but I love this book actually. It's got all sorts of things in it, you know, all sorts of very interesting things, you know. But for me, I think for this particular part, these older pages I don't think will work really well, so I think I am going to go for something a little lighter here. So definitely this one, and probably this one. And I think that's enough, just the 2 different ones for my project. But as I said, you put in whatever you want to do on yours, right? So now I'm going to measure, and with using this to see where I need to make those cuts, right? Now, how many am I going to be able to get here? Just the 2. Okay. So here I've got both pieces of paper together, right? And this is, I think this is 8 by 8. Yes, it is 8 by 8, this particular pad. So I'm going to keep those pages together here, and then I'm going to fold it in half, trying to line it up as best I can. Right, increase that down. And then I'm going to take this to my paper trimmer, or bring my paper trimmer to me, because as I said, I cannot for the life of me cut a straight line. Okay, so now I want to measure the size of this to the paper, right? So I am going to make it just a little bit smaller than the cardboard itself, right? So I'm going to bring the edge up just a touch so that I know where I want to, how long I want it. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the width. Now, bear in mind that I need to allow here for double, so for the width on this side and the width on that side, right? So I'm going to use that line there as a mark as well, right? So I'm going to grab my trimmer, make sure that you can see that. Alright, so now I'm going to, the first cut I'm going to make here is down this line, and then that means then that both this page and this page is going to be the same width, right? So I'm going to line that up here and slice through that. Okay, and that's just another piece for my scrap. Alright, so now I'm going to take this mark that I made here, and I'm going to line that up here, up against this edge here, which helps me keep it straight. And then I'm going to cut there, right? So now I am going to measure on here and I just need to cut a little bit off there. Okay, so that I get them the same length. But if you don't want them the same length, you don't have to do that. You know, you can do it however you want to do it. Okay. And besides, as you can see here, I'm simply winging this. So that is just cut where I kind of thought it would be, right? Because that is the beauty of doing these things, right? So now I have paper. Oh, look at that. All the same size, which is what I wanted, right? But you don't have to do it that way, okay? So now all I would need to do, I did that. I didn't cut it short enough. Oh no, that's fine. Okay, so now I just need to punch the holes in here to measure it to there, right? And of course change all of this direction of the paper around here. So those two go that way, those two go that way, those two go that way, and I think I'm going to put that one on top, which puts that one on the bottom, right? So this here is, what is that? It's too thick to punch all of these papers together with a hand punch like this. It's just too much, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up to where I want it to be here, right? And allowing on either side for where, you know, making that allowance for that, right? Just going to move that over just a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to take my tool and use the holes that I made the first time round as a guide to punch out these papers, right? And you can see through here where that hole would be, right? So I'm going to punch those out, right? Do the same on the other side. And it really isn't that difficult to line them up. Okay, here's the trick though. Make sure you hold the papers together to put them down, right? So now, oh, I'll put them out of view here, look, right? So now I am going to put the other papers that I want to put in here, but I'm going to put them under, and I just messed that line up. Hold on, here we go. So bring them back into alignment here. Okay, so I'm going to, the ones that I had already punched out, I'm going to leave them on top, and the ones that I need to punch out, I'm going to bring them into the bottom, okay, which will help me line everything up, hopefully, to punch out cleanly. But of course, if you have one of those fancy machines, then you can just simply use that. If not, the handheld tool does work. Okay, so, and again, line it up to those holes and punch it through. Okay, line it up to the holes as best you can and punch it through. Alright, so now all you have to do is to do your closing on that, your closure on that. So with the last one I did the sari silk. I do that one again here. The next one I think I'll do brads, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so as carefully as you can, make sure you hold it together. I mean, if you're not very good at that, you can always use a clamp, you know, or a bulldog clip to hold that together. So now you're going to take your sari silk and pop it in from behind, or your ribbon, or whatever it is that you're using, your twine. Right, pop it in from behind and pull it through. Of course I can do that, right. So, now, I personally like to cut off what I think is about right for the ribbon. You don't have to do that. You can, you know, measure it out, etc. But, you know, I'm just not going to do that, so. And it's all okay. So now I'm going to pop this through the other hole here, right, pull it through, now I do like to make them even on that side, right? But if you look on the back, you've just got that sari silk on the back. Now from here, simply tie a bow, you know, it's like you would a shoelace, exactly the same way. Okay, and that would be it. So that bow's a little big for the size of the book. That's all right. So now I'm going to trim up my edges here, and there is the first one made, right? And this one is just simply using single-sided paper, but it gives you a nice finish on both sides. Now from there you can stamp it like I did the other one, or other embellishments, whatever you would like. Okay, making a single-sided one. Okay, excuse me, a single sheeted paper, sorry. Here we go. So here we have a double-sided page here, and this makes it a lot easier. You don't have to fold it over or do any of that gluing or anything. Simply get out your trimmer or a pair of scissors and decide how wide or long, etc., that you would like to do it. And I think I want this on the inside and this on the outside. So, do I want it this way? I don't think, yeah, I'm going to do it that way. Okay, so I am going to make this one probably a little thicker, maybe to there, right? And again, I mean, I'm sure you know how to use one of these, but for those people who are new, if you butt the paper up against this lip here, you're going to get a straight edge, providing that the paper that you're butting up against does have its own straight edge. So if it starts off crooked, it's going to be crooked. So, yeah. Okay. So then from there, I think I'm going to not make it too big, and I think that's the right way up here. Too long, so I think I will just cut mine just to say here. And again, butting it up against that edge there to make sure that it's straight. Okay. So now it makes it simpler. I'm simply going to measure it down there. Use these. Make sure I have that really secure there, because I don't have any gluing or anything to do. All I'm going to do now is simply punch where I want my holes to be, and that there, I think looks about right? So then I'm going to grab some paper to use, and I think I'm going to use this paper again because this is kind of like white, too white for that other paper I had. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to use, I think, some of these. Just two of those. So this one's going to have all of the same kind of paper in it, and you know what? That's perfectly fine. And again, I'm just making sure that I can at least get two out of it, and then I'm going to fold it in half. And do my measurements, and as I said, remember to bring it back a little bit to give yourself some space. And I think I'm going to bring back mine a little bit more than I did last time because it was right at the edge, right? And then do the same thing for the width, right? So you do have it enough for it to fit nicely in the folder, right? So I'm just going to bring this back And again, I'm going to do this side first so that the width of the paper, oh, actually it doesn't matter for this one. It doesn't matter. I take that back. Let's just do it. Alright, so about there, pushing it straight up against there. Okay. Oh, I just realized I did that the wrong way. That's alright. I can fix it. See, we all make mistakes, right? So now I have this fold still in here, and I should have measured it the other way. So what I need to do now is just to cut a little slither off the side there to open it up and give me all of the individual papers that I need, right? And that's fine. As I said, no rules. And honestly, some of the best projects can end up coming from what is it I'm trying to say? Coming from mistakes that you've made. Okay. So in here, this one, there's only a few slices of paper in here, so I'm only going to do it the once. But you simply put that in place and punch it through. Just like I showed you last time. Okay, so this time I think I will put brads. Okay, so I'm going to use some brads for here. Now these are really kind of cute. I got these off Amazon, and they have like little flowers and things in it. So all I really need to do is to find something that's going to go nicely, which might be more difficult than I thought. Oh, there we go. There's one. A blue one. So these have all these. Oh, there's another one. I think that matches. Nope, doesn't match. Both blue. No, that one's sweet too. Do you see that? I like that. They have all of these different faces on them, so it's just a matter of going through and finding one that matches. Here we go. That matches, and that works, right? So I have two of the same there. Pick them up in a second. All right. So now I'm just going to line up those holes again, because of course I moved it. And you literally just pop the brad through and open up the back, just like that. So you put the brad through and you can just split apart those prongs and push it down as far as you can, and that's it. It's done, right? If you wanted to cover this up, you could put a piece of cardboard across here, which would cover that up, but then it would also prevent you from adding more paper in the end. So that's up to you. So that's our tutorial for today. So these are something that I find really handy, just to have a bunch of them in my stash. And yes, I will go in and add some more papers to this one. I like to keep them in my stash so that they're ready to go when I need them. If there's something else that you would like to know how to do, or another tutorial that you would like, leave it below in the comments, and I'm happy to make those videos. If you haven't already subscribed, I would appreciate it if you did. It would really mean a lot to me. If you liked the content, hit the like button for me. I appreciate that too. Okay, that's about all. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.